Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Animal Kingdom Theory Part 4. Disclaimer. So, today's session learning objective identify key characteristic of mollusca, that is the soft body, mantle, and shell. Then we will talk about the phylum Echinodermata, and in that, the key characteristic, pentaradial symmetry, water vascular system, presence of water vascular system, and we will also discuss about the hemichordata, and their key characteristic is the stomochord gill slits. So you will know and you will identify about the key characteristic of these particular phylum, that is the mollusca, echinodermata, and hemichordata. You will be able to compare the body organization, feeding mechanism, and locomotion of the organism from the phylum Mollusca, Echinodermata, and Hemichordata. Understand their evolutionary relationship and the ecological roles in the marine ecosystem. So let us have a look over the index of today's session. There will be a classification of animals, that is the section 4.2 from the NCERT. And in that, we are going to discuss about the phylum Mollusca, section 4.2.8 from NCERT. Phylum Echinodermata, that is 4.2.9. And phylum Hemichordata, that is 4.2.10. Then there will be a summary. Okay, summary for the today's lecture. Let us start today's session with the phylum Mollusca. So this is the second largest animal phylum. The first largest animal phylum was Arthropoda. Every third organism. Organism is Arthropoda. If we discuss about all the organisms, and two-third of the organisms belongs to this particular phylum. And this mollusca comes at the second position. So this is called as the second largest animal phylum. Mollusca are terrestrial or aquatic. They can be terrestrial. They are found on the land. So they are considered as a terrestrial organism. And many of the individual we see in the case of aquatic environment, right? And in the aquatic environment, they are found in both the marine as well as the fresh water. Fresh water means no salt is dissolved in it. And if you talk about the marine environment, then it is ocean and your sea, right? And they are having the organ system level of organization. So there will be particular system, that is the reproductive system. There will be digestive system. There will be nervous system. Okay. So there will be different organ system in the organism, and they are forming the organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and coelomate animals. If you divide the organism, okay, from the central axis of the body, it divides the organism into two halves, left half and right half, right? So they are called as bilaterally symmetrical organism. Triploblastic. Triploblastic means at the time of their development, there will be the three different layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm layers. They are coelomate animals. Coelomate means true body cavity. There is a true body cavity. The body cavity is lined by the mesoderm layer. So this is the very, very important characteristic. Bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and coelomate animals. Body is covered by the calcareous shell, and it is unsegmented with a distinct head, muscular foot, and the visceral hump. Okay, body is covered with the calcareous shell. You can see there is a calcareous shell, and because their internal body is very soft, and for their protection, this calcareous shell is there. Body is not segmented, as we have seen in the case of arthropodons or the annelida. Okay, here the body is not segmented, but you can divide the organism as a distinct head, muscular foot, and the visceral hump. Okay, so these three parts you can see in the case of mollusca. There is a uh, head region, there is a muscular foot region, and the visceral hump is there. These are the two organisms that belong to the phylum Mollusca, right? There is a pila that is commonly called as apple snail, and you can see it is covered with the calcareous shell. It is covered with the calcareous shell. And there is an octopus. Okay, octopus body is not covered with the calcareous shell, but it is having suckers for their protection, and also helping for the movement and attaching to any particular substratum. A soft and the spongy layer of a skin forms the mantle over the visceral hump. So there is a visceral hump region, and above this there is a spongy layer of a skin. Above the visceral hump there is a spongy layer of a skin that forms the mantle cover of the molluscan organism. A space between the hump and the mantle. Now there is a hump, and above the visceral hump there is a mantle covering. It is a skin like flap of covering, and in between the hump and the mantle there forms a cavity. And this cavity is called as mantle cavity. Now this mantle cavity is very, very important because it is concerned for the presence of a gill like region. Okay, and that is helping this organism for the exchange of gases, because they are having a feather like gills in this particular region, in the mantle cavity. Feathers like gills, and these gills, feather like gills, help in the exchange of gases. They are concerned for the exchange of gases. So there is a water, because they are aquatic. Okay, if there is a water, then they can take the oxygen that is dissolved in water. They can take that oxygen that is dissolved in water. They have respiratory and excretory function. So this gills, what is the function of this gills? They are having the respiratory as well as the excretory function, because in this gills, feather like gills region, the blood is flowing and there is an exchange of gases. So it is doing the process of respiration, helping in the process of respiration. Now how it is going to help in the process of excretory functions? Because there is a flow of blood in this gills region, and this gills is having a very minute membrane, and in this blood, if nitrogenous waste material is present, so that is excreted out, right? So in this way, this gill like region is helping in the process of respiratory as well as excretory. And this gills are present in this mantle cavity region. The anterior head region has a sensory tentacles. The head region, there is having a very distinct head region. Now in this region, they are having some tentacles. They are concerned for the sensory function. They can sense whatever the things are there in the environment. They can sense, right? So they are concerned for the sensory function. The mouth contains a file-like rasping organ for the feeding that is called as radula. This is very, very important point from this phylum Mollusca. They are having the file-like rasping organ. So we are having in the nail cutter, there is a file-like region. You must have seen that you can rub your nails to give a proper shape, right? So in that type of respiring organ is present in the mouth of the molluscan, and they can feed on the food with this help of this respiring organ that is called as radula. Now this is a specific name for the respiring organ of the mollusca that is called as radula, and they can rub on the food and they can corrode the food. Actually, they can corrode the food and small particles of the food comes out, and that food is taken inside their mouth, right? So this is the respiring organ, and that is called as radula. This we see in the case of this molluscan only. They are usually dioecious and oviparous with the indirect development. So male and female individuals are separate, so they are dioecious, and they are oviparous. Oviparous means they lay eggs. Okay, they lay eggs, and there is a formation of larval stage. There is a formation of larval stage, and that is why we can say that the development is indirect type. There is a larval stage, and slowly this larva transform into the adult form. So this is the indirect development. Examples of the molluscans are Pila. Commonly we call it as apple snail. Pinctada, that is called as pearl oyster. We obtain pearl from this pearl oyster, pinctada. Sepia, that is called as cuttlefish. Loligo, we call commonly as squid. Octopus, devilfish. Aplysia, sea hare. Dentalium, tusk shell, and Chaetopleura, that is called as chiton. So these are some of the common molluscan with their scientific name as well as their common name. So you have to remember both of these, common as well as the scientific name. So here we can see the two of the molluscan, that is Pila and octopus. Echinodermata, that is section 4.2.9 from the NCERT. These animals have an endoskeleton of the calcareous ossicles, and hence the name Echinodermata. Okay, so if we see the echinodermatans, they are having the endoskeleton, and this endoskeleton is made up of calcareous ossicles, and hence they are named as Echinodermata. Their body is spiny because these endoskeleton calcareous ossicles are spiny in nature, and that made the endoskeleton. Okay, it protects the echinodermatans. All are marine with the organ system level of organization. So all the individual, or you can say all the type of echinodermatans are marine in nature. They are found in marine environment, either in the ocean or in the sea, and they are having the organ system level of organization. So they are having the separate organ system. They are having the digestive system. They are having the respiratory system, right? They are having a very important water vascular system, reproductive system. So we can say that they are having the organ system level of organization. The adult echinoderms are radially symmetrical, but the larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. This is a very, very important point of the echinodermata. If you see the adult echinodermata, they are radially symmetrical. You can divide the organism into two equals from the different plane of axis, because they are not having only a single plane of axis, they are having the multiple plane of axis through which you can divide the organism into two equal halves, left half and right half. But in case of the larval stage, the larval organism is having only one plane of axis, and From that, it can be divided into left half and right half equally, right? So they are showing the bilateral symmetry, whereas the adult echinoderms are showing the radial type of symmetry. This is the very, very important feature of this particular phylum. They are triploblastic and coelomate animals. Triploblastic, so if you see the developmental stage of the organism, you can see the 3 stages, 3 layers, okay, that are concerned for the formation of different organs. So those 3 layers are ectoderm, okay, outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, and in between the ecto and endoderm, there is a mesodermal layer. They are coelomate animals. They are having the true body cavity, and body cavity is lined with the mesoderm layer. So here you can see the 2 very important organism from the phylum Echinodermata. Asterias is there. Asterias, that is commonly called as starfish, and Ophiura. Ophiura is the another organism. So these are 2 very important individuals from the phylum Echinodermata. Digestive system is complete with the mouth on the lower ventral side and the anus on the upper dorsal side, right? So we can say that digestive system is complete when there is a 2 separate opening. One opening from which the organism take the food, that is called as mouth, and another opening from which the undigested food material is expelled out, or it is excreted out, right? So 2 openings are there. The mouth is present on the ventral side, that is the lower side. And from the lower side only, it can take the food that is present on the substratum, right? So they are having mouth on the ventral side. And where the anus is present, it is present on the dorsal upper side, right? The most distinctive feature of the echinoderm is the presence of water vascular system. Now, this is going to be one of the very, very important feature. Water vascular system. Now, this water vascular system is what? We have seen just now the figure of the Ophiura and the Asterias, brittle star, and commonly called as Asterias, commonly called as starfish. You must have seen that they are having the different arms. Now, inside their arms, there is a presence of tube-like structure, or you can say the network of tube-like structure that make the water vascular system. And what happens when they take water from the outer environment and all the water get filled in this water vascular system, right? What happens? The water when get filled, all the arms are stretched out. All the arms of the asterias or the brittle stars or any echinoderms, they stretched out, right? And when they expelled out that water, they squeeze their arm. And again, they take water. They expel their arm, squeeze their arm. In this way, they make their movement, locomotion, move from one place to another, right? So this water vascular system is helping in the process of locomotion. Not only that, when the water comes inside the organism, okay, the water is having many minute organisms, food particles. So that get captured by the organism. And transport of food and respiration. How it is helping in the process of respiration? It is having dissolved oxygen in it. And the cells can take all the oxygen that is dissolved in it, and they can perform the process of respiration. So how important this water vascular system, you can see here. It is helping in the process of locomotion. It is helping in the process of transport of food and also in the process of respiration. An excretory system is absent. Now you can think about why the excretory system is absent. So when they take the water, the nitrogenous waste material get mixed with the water inside their body. And when this water is expelled out, the nitrogenous waste material is also expelled out. So this water vascular system is helping in the excretion of this nitrogenous waste material. How important this water vascular system is, now you can think about it. It is helping in the process of locomotion, it is helping in the process of transport of food, process of respiration, as well as the excretion of the nitrogenous waste material, right? And this is one of the very, very important feature of the echinodermata, water vascular system. This is found this is found only in this particular phylum. Okay, water vascular system is not found in any other phylum. Sexes are separate and the reproduction is sexual. So they are having the uh, male and female individuals separate. They are not hermaphrodite, right? As we have seen in the case of Annelida, the sexes are separate and reproduction is sexual type. Reproduction is sexual type. So they can produce the gametes, and when these gametes, male and female, unite together, the fertilization takes place, zygote is formed, and zygote divide and redivide and forms the larval stage. So the development is indirect. Fertilization is usually external. So they release out the male and female gametes in the water, and there is a union of this gametes and forms the zygote. So the fertilization is external. Development is indirect with the free swimming larva. What type of development is there? Indirect type of development, right? So this larval stage is totally distinct from the adult echinoderms, and they are free swimming larva. The larva is free swimming. If we talk about the examples, then Asterias, commonly called as starfish, Echinus, that is sea urchin, Antedon, that is commonly called as sea lily, Cucumeria, we call it as a sea cucumber, and Ophiura, that is beetle star. And here you can see the two important individuals from the phylum Echinodermata, Asterias, that is called as starfish, and Ophiura, that is called as brittle star. Now we will study about the third phylum, that is called as Hemichordata. Hemichordata was earlier considered as a subphylum under the phylum Chordata. Earlier, so if we study about the earlier classification, that this Hemichordata was the part of Chordata only, that we study under the phylum Chordata. But now this is a separate phylum under the invertebrates. But now it is placed as a separate phylum under non-chordata, right? So it is considered as non-chordates now. They are not a chordate. Hemichordates have a rudimentary structure in the collar region that is called a stomochord, a structure similar to the notochord. So you must be remember that this notochord that was present in the chordata, okay, it is a very important feature of the chordata, and if the organism is having this notochord, then only it is considered as a chordata. But here in the case of Hemichordata, they are having the stomochord, okay, stomochord in the collar region, and these are the rudimentary structure. This phylum consists of a small group of worm-like marine animals. Okay, this phylum, if you see the organism, they are the worm-like marine animals, and they are having the organ system level of organization. organ system level of organization. So they are having separate respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system, reproductive system, right? So they are having the organ system level of organization. And the organism look like worm. Okay, so they are called as worm-like marine animals. Worm-like marine animals. They are bilaterally symmetrical. If you talk about the other different characteristic of these organisms, so they are bilaterally symmetrical. Bilaterally symmetrical means the organism can be divided into two equal halves, the left half and the right half. P, if we cut the organism from the central axis of the organism, so it is showing the bilaterally symmetrical position. And triploblastic, they are the triploblastic organisms. So at the time of development, they are having the three different layers, that is the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Triploblastic, and they are the coelomate animals. True body cavity, they are having the true body cavity, coelomates. The body is cylindrical. The body is cylindrical and is composed of an anterior proboscis, a collar, and a long trunk. So if you see the organism, it is somewhat cylindrical in shape. It is in the cylindrical shape. And in the cylindrical shape, what are the different organs we see? It is having an anterior region that is called as proboscis, that is called as anterior proboscis region. A small collar region just below this proboscis region, there is a collar region, and there is a long trunk region. So three different parts we can see here: anterior proboscis, a collar, and a long trunk like region. So here you can see in the diagram as well, there is a proboscis, right? There is a collar region. This is the collar region, and you can see the trunk region. So this whole organism look like a worm. Okay, worm. And that is why they are called as worm-like marine organism. The examples, one of the example of the hemichordata is Balanoglossus. Balanoglossus. Circulatory system is of open type. Very, very important. We have seen in the previous sum of the phylum that they are having the closed type of circulatory system. Annelida, if you think about Annelida. Now, this is one of the progressive phylum from the Annelida, but still it is having the circulatory system. It is of open type. The heart can pump the blood, and this blood is flowing over the tissue or the organs, right? So they are having the open type of circulatory system. Respiration take place through gills. Okay, they are having the separate gill region, and that is helping in the process of respiration. The water is there because they are mostly the aquatic organism, right? So water is there, and water is having the dissolved oxygen in it. So with the help of gills, they can take the water, okay, and dissolve oxygen in it. They can take the dissolved oxygen in it. Excretory organ is the proboscis gland. So they are having the proboscis gland, right? That is concerned for the process of excretion. They take out all the nitrogenous waste material from their body, and they excrete out in the water only. In the water only. Sexes are separate. So they are having the separate male and female individual. Fertilization is external. Okay, organism can give rise the eggs and the sperm, and when they unite together, they can form the zygote, and zygote later on forms the another stages of the, that could be the larval stages or the individual. So fertilization is external, that is occurring in the water only. Development is indirect, so it is having the larval stage. Examples of hemichordata are Balanoglossus and Saccoglossus. These are the two examples, okay, from the hemichordata, Balanoglossus and Saccoglossus. So this is one of the example you can see in the figure, that is the Balaenoprocess. Now we will have a summary of today's lecture. The three phyla we read, we discussed about the three phyla, that is the Mollusca, Echinodermata, and Hemichordata. They represent the diverse group of animals with the distinct characteristics. Every organism from the phylum, from these particular phylum, they are having a very distinct type of characteristic, right? And they are having one or two specific characteristic that we see in that particular phylum. Mollusks are the soft body animal typically protected by the shell. They are having the shell-like covering, and they include the familiar creatures like the snail, clams, and octopus. Echinoderms are the marine animals with a 5-part radial symmetry, such as starfish and the sea urchins, right? And they are having the water vascular system. This is one of the very important characteristic of the phylum Echinoderms. Hemichordates are the marine worm-like animals and that share some characteristic with the chordates, right? Some of the characteristic of the chordate we see in the case of hemichordates, and they serve as an evolutionary link between the invertebrates and vertebrates, with the most distinctive feature being the 3 parts body plan consisting of the proboscis, collar, and the trunk region. So this is all about today's session. Thank you very much.